Hello and welcome to Living with the Landspeeder. This is Chapter 18, where we Starwarsify Disney parks one attraction at a time. I'm your host, Ryan, joined by my good pal, Katrin.
Heyo.
And Derek, you're back with us.
I am back.
You missed last episode, but you are back.
Where was I?
Boston or somewhere.
I think you were in Boston.
You were in somewhere cold.
At the harbor.
In the harbor. I was having chatter in the harbor.
But tonight we got a very special guest. We're starting the new year, 2024.
Wow.
For those of you listening in 2030 or something, this is 2024.
Evergreen, man.
Logan Sekulow, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. I'm excited to be here. I've been listening, and obviously I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm a fan of all of you guys, so this has been fun so much so I went and got an LED light for my daughter's. If you're watching, not just listening, I got an LED light for my daughter's bedroom to make it look like I kind of match you guys. Yeah. So I had to do it, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. And
it looks good. Yours looks more my studio than mine because, like, you know, I used to have guitars and drum heads and everything. Now, like, I tore my studio.
Now you've got a toy store behind you. I don't want that.
Yeah. I think you are at a
There's
toy
some
store.
Funko Pops over here,
and
some
boxes
Funko Pops over here.
You're just showing off your motion tracker. Look at that. Like, that's
I know.
I mean, come on. That wasn't even subtle. It was just like, look what I have. Like, I'm here on my son's iPad.
That's not even trying. If we want to go crazy, we can go crazy.
I know.
Look at my 50-inch touchscreen that I built.
I know. I've watched
There we
the
go.
YouTube video. I've seen it. I'm jealous. So.
There's a new video coming out soon.
Okay, good. Update
Maybe.
2024 edition.
This has nothing to do with Disney, but for those watching or listening, Logan has a Kiss plaque behind his wall.
Yes.
Big Kiss fan.
Yeah.
What do you feel? This is totally not Disney at all. What do you feel about the new next generation of Kiss?
Sure. Oh, guys, if you're going to start there, like, this could go all night. Like, legitimately, I can talk about this
Just
for
briefly.
hours. So I'll give you the brief version. Obviously, at the end of the last Kiss show, the smoke billowed, they disappeared, and out came on screens big Fortnite-looking avatars of Kiss being like, this is the new era. And then, and then they went into God Gave Rock and Roll to You. And now they've announced a couple of things. I will say that when they first announced it, like, there was all these rumblings in the Kiss community, just like there's the Star Wars Disney community. There's kind of like something's happening, and no one really knew what. And there was like a leaked image that came out right before that it showed their four faces, and like my immediate reaction was like, "This is no, not what I want." You know, is that? And then it happened, and I watched their video they did with ILM. So this does connect to
It does connect
to
yeah,
Star Wars,
true,
because Industrial Light and Magic is a part of this, and with Pop House, who did the ABBA shows in London right now. And I watched that, and I really loved it. I thought that it was done with intention. If they're going to do it, it's spending a ton of money on doing it. It's not like a cheap, like they threw it together. I've seen some of these bad hologram stuff that's happened. So I was actually really excited, and I'm still excited. What lost me was when they just announced like a couple days ago that it's coming in 2027.
Oh.
And like they're running Instagram ads that says a show is coming 2027.
Oh, gosh.
My kids, who were the ones who actually got me excited more about it because they watched it, and my kids live in sort of a digital space. My son just discovered Eminem, Eminem, like the rapper Eminem, through Fortnite. And because Eminem did a show in Fortnite, which was just an avatar of Eminem. It wasn't a video, doing Lose Yourself. And then now they've got a merch collab, and they've got vinyl, and he wants to buy the vinyl, and he's discovering music that way. So for him to go see a live avatar show, it made more sense to him. And he was like, oh, I would love that. So it got me excited about it. Now, when they announced it was 2027, I was like, well, you'll be like 15. And my son was born the day Star Wars and Lucasfilm sold to Disney, October 30th, 2012. So he'll be, well into his teens at that point. And my daughters will also be like in their preteens, teens there. Like, they're probably not going to care. So I'll say this. I'm very excited about the concept. I really actually am. I think it's cool. And I think if a band can do it, it's them. And to do it as like a superhero kind of circusy kind of show instead of trying to replicate a rock show, I don't have interest in that, but I have interest in a big flashy entertainment piece. I'm down. If it's in the continental US, I will fly to one of the first shows. If it's not, I'll probably wait. But if it is, because I love tech. I love seeing stuff that changes, but I'm also a huge rock and roll fan. So I'm also, there's a tug there. But it's not like Kiss is like, they've always taken big swings. And it's what I like with them and Disney and look, Star Wars to some extent. this is the least expected thing for them probably to do, and the least like guarantee it's going to work. This is probably the one that could fail the hardest. I like that they're taking that swing. That makes me excited as a fan. Just go, they're still trying to come up with something new.
Yeah. So when I heard that they were going to be doing some kind of show after their retirement, I was hoping it was going to be Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
And that's really what I was wanting. But
at least it's in somewhat of that kind of style. It's like not just because the rumor for years was that they were just going to pass the baton to new people in the outfits and do it. And unless those people were like really directly connected to the band, like the kids, and even that is such a pressure, and it could fail so miserably for your kids. Like, to me, it's like, what's the worst thing that could happen in this? They're not spending the money. Pop House is spending the money. ILM is like spending $200 million on it. So worst case scenario, it flops, and who cares? It's for, computer avatars, and they're going to be like 78 by the time it rolls out. I don't think they're going to care either.
No.
All right, that's enough. That's enough.
We need to do a sub podcast on this, Logan, because I kind of want to keep going on this one, but we got to.
You should come on I Am Geek, and then we can just geek out.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
about all
let me know.
stuff.
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So tonight, though, on this show, we take a Disney attraction, and then we Star Warsify it. And I think Katrin asked you what attraction you wanted to do, and you chose one that I didn't think you were going to choose. Out of left field, I think. But you said, or he said, that it was one of your kids' favorite attractions.
My daughter picked this. I said, "What should I do?" And she's like, "Well, there's only one attraction," and she does. She says, "She's like, I cannot go to Walt Disney World without doing." Am I allowed to say, or do you need?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's fine.
Without doing I'm sure they've seen it in the title, probably do.
Yeah,
Enchanted Tiki Room. It has become a family tradition for me and her. Sometimes even the other kids and my wife don't go, and they love it too. But like it's like she has to get a Dole Whip. We have to do that. We have to go to the Tiki Room. It is like on her must-dos, if you will. And so she picked it. She said, I think you should do the Tiki Room. And that did like open up the door, because I saw the list of ones people had done already. And I was like, all right, well, now we got to get creative and have some fun here. And I've been texting Katrin a lot, being like, how long do I need to go here? Because I could go like too long. Like, how detailed are we going to go? So I love this attraction, though. I've loved it since I was a little kid. And it's always been one of my favorites. And I know it's kind of a sleeper attraction for a lot of people, but your show is called Living with the Landspeeder. There's not much more of a sleeper attraction than Living with the Land. So I didn't think that I was taking too much, wasn't too much pressure here.
Oh, one of my favorite things to do is to grab a Dole Whip and then go into the Tiki Room while I eat my Dole Whip and just enjoy the show. So yeah, this is going to be great. And Derek, if you've listened to the past listeners, if you've listened to the past episodes, you know that Derek's favorites are the shows. I mean, he always just hits it out of the park with like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, we're show people.
You're the only one. That was the worst episode that I've ever done.
It was not.
Because we bring it up almost every episode because I hate that show. I don't even like saying
Beauty and the Beast show.
Yeah. I really despise it.
It hasn't held up super great.
No. And so I just made a mockery of it.
Yeah, it was funny.
No, I did go to the Jollywood Nights, and they did a show in that theater that was hosted by the Muppets, and it was fantastic. It was on at midnight. I thought I was hallucinating. It was like Kermit and Piggy are talking, and then all of a sudden, it was real deep cuts. Like Belle came out and did a song from the VHS Beauty and the Beast sequel, like the Christmas special. I was like, what is happening here? Who made this show? And I loved it. It was great.
Nice.
Should just keep it.
They had Launchpad McQuack making latkes in the middle of it for Hanukkah. It was real weird. It was the weirdest show, but
I missed that part.
There was like an ad. They were like running fake ads, like, make sure you tune in tomorrow for Latkes with Launchpad, where Launchpad McQuack teaches you how to make the Hanukkah favorite latkes.
Wow.
Launchpad McQuack? Now I gotta watch it.
That's cool.
Who knew?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. McQuack.
Yes, we're doing the Enchanted Tiki Room, and then we're tacking on Aloha Isle. Is that what we said?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be an easy one for me.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
I was told that the last second, so mine's kind of it's kind of just thrown together. I'll be honest.
We
Wait,
sometimes
until you hear
decide at the
mine.
last
I
minute.
went above and beyond with that one.
Good. Y'all have fun.
No, he didn't.
It'll be fine.
Okay, so I guess I'll start. We'll get through all of them, and then maybe we'll talk a little, just a little Star Cruiser at the end because we haven't talked since.
And we want people to hang on too and find out a little bit more about what Logan's got.
Yeah, we're gonna
on.
definitely plug.
I'll talk
all
whatever
that
you want.
stuff.
I mean, Star Wars has been a part of my life since probably the early '90s, and when I was my parents legit bought the VHS. It was the THX release. And I was familiar with like things like Luke, I am your father. Like I remember hearing those things, but like not knowing what anything really meant. And then I feel like those THX came out, and so I think that was 1995 or 1984. So I was like not 8, 9 years old, and I remember them like legit like sitting me down on like their bed, like at the end of their bed, and being like, you're gonna watch these movies, and it's gonna change your life forever. And that's just what happened. And I watched those 3 movies, and it really did. So to have any length of time to talk about Star Wars, I'll happily promote whatever I have going on, but I really don't care. I'm here to talk the wars. I don't get to do that very much.
Yeah, I like Star Wars a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I just got another Star Wars tattoo. It is Donald Duck as Darth Maul.
Oh, that's good. That's
I'm
good.
gonna
We're
do
going prequels.
the whole character scene. So hold on tight for that sleep.
Hold on.
Yeah, I have the big figs that are the in my office of the 4. I have Donald. We got to get on with the show. I got Donald and Carbonite, which is my favorite. I have Minnie Mouse that's like a Slave Leia Minnie Mouse, which is real uncomfortable, and I don't even think like it's cool anymore.
I think that's what's going to be my next one.
Yeah, that one, it was like, I remember it came and I don't even want to, like, even ordering it felt weird. And later on, I was like, they're like, we're discontinuing merch with that design. Like, that's probably a good idea. I had a pretty awkward encounter trying to buy a Minnie Mouse dressed like that. So, it's, I was just trying to complete the set, guys.
I promise. Not a weirdo.
It's probably worth like, $5,000 or something now.
That's right. Yeah.
probably.
Check eBay. All right. Go
All
ahead.
right, so here we go. So I'm gonna start to give just to get us into it. Again, you don't have to be as detailed as me, or you can go way more detailed than me. That's fine. I'm not going to be very detailed tonight. Sometimes I have like a whole page.
Storyline. Yeah.
So, okay, this is going to be a little different. You're going to have to. I'm going to take some liberties with this one. You're going to have to say, okay, that could happen maybe in Star Wars. Think of it as, I know that the Marvel What If season 2 was just released. Think of this as a Star Wars What If.
Ooh,
Okay.
I like where you're going.
Ah, yeah. Okay,
Continue.
so what? And I'm going to mispronounce her name because I always do, and that's okay. What if? Oh gosh, I'm going to
We'll
butcher her
correct you.
name.
Don't worry.
Alea Sakura.
Sure.
She's the Jedi, the blue Twi'lek
Okay.
Jedi.
Yeah, sure.
What if she survived Order 66 on Felucia and lived out her remaining years running a tiki-style establishment on Felucia? So the jungles of Felucia. So it will be called so stupid. The Leaky Room.
The Leaky Room.
In the leaky room. It will be
My camera. Now my camera's all messed up.
Sorry. It'll be the she's a Twi'lek, so it'll be the Leaky Room. It'll take a little, it'll be filled with colorful native plants of Felucia, and the ceiling will house the colorful singing Felucia birds, which are a thing in Star Wars. There's these big colorful birds that live on the planet, so the birds will be singing, but beware, the Leaky Room if it gets too loud, it will attract the attention of the dangerous jungle rancor, which they do have. That's one of the main creatures on the planet, who will come and shake the room and try to look in the windows to see what food might be inside. But don't worry, Sakura will use her Jedi mind tricks to persuade the jungle rancor to leave the Leaky Room alone. In the leaky room.
All right.
Where the flowers sing.
I like that.
Is that it? Like, are we good?
And then you will exit the leaky room
Okay.
to to your
way over prepared.
to the
No, you're not. Don't worry.
no. Sometimes I go really long, but
Yeah.
it's been a week, so I was like,
Yeah, it's okay.
we're going short.
Plus, we have a guest. All right.
Yeah. So I want to keep it short.
Yeah.
And then of course you have the Felucian whip outside at the aisle there, which is basically just Dole Whip. Because how do you make Dole Whip better? You don't. It's Dole Whip.
Change the name
I don't know how I feel about that name.
Yeah,
The Felucian
I'm
whip.
laughing. I'm trying like
A little concerned about the name. Not gonna lie.
Okay, well here's something interesting, and I think this is the problem with Star Wars. Let's say vocabulary, like when I've been reading it or something like that, is because so when you say the leaky room, you're talking about these numbers here, which I've always thought was LeQ is how you said that.
Well, I'm just making it.
Okay, I'm just wondering, like, I read it different. Like, I just know words that are not real words that maybe we all read in our heads differently.
I told you that it was a stretch, but I was like, because it's a Twi'lek is the race, and they have the Likus, and I'm like, well, we'll just call it the leaky room.
The leaky room.
Okay. Just to be the Twi'leki room.
I thought because like Felucia is rainy.
It's like a jungle planet.
It is because you play on it on Battlefront 2.
Yeah,
that's right.
But I thought it would like the visuals, all the plants and the fungi and all that stuff, and all the crazy birds and stuff they have there. Would sort of look like a tiki room if you just took it and threw it in a building. And then you have the jungle rancor, so it would, instead of the thunderstorm and the lightning, you would hear the boom, 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 boom of the jungle rancor coming through the jungle after hearing the party going on, and then the windows around, you'll see him like run past and sort of peer in, and maybe
nice.
I think it could work. I would like it. And then you have,
I just don't like the name of that drink.
You know what, the Felucian whip,
especially with the Twilight, which are usually
it's Felucia, so it'd be
we've been in Jabba's palace.
Felucia is the name of the planet, so Felucian whip.
No, we got it. We can
we can beat that with that one.
We're fine. We're good.
You know what I like about yours, Ryan, is that you've created a story around it. Because that's one of the things I try to do is like read into like, what is this about? You know, I've been in the attraction, I've listened to it and all that, but it's like, is there a story behind it? It's really not much. It's just
how dare you? I am a enthusiast. I would say this. I'm just going to give a plug to another podcast that's not my own. Go listen to, and if you want to know, the guys over and girls over at Mousetalgia, which is a Disneyland podcast, and they did it was whenever the anniversary of Tiki Room was, like a couple months ago, maybe July, August.
Yeah, the 60th of Disneyland.
Yeah, they did a great, like, here is the story of how it even was built, and then the story of what they are trying to tell in it, and so that's just like a side note. Go download that episode.
I got it.
Yeah,
well, never mind. But I like your story. Right.
Oh, thank you. Because I think that's a cool thing. Like that would be a cool what if series. That if some of these Jedis that you thought were killed in Order 66, they survived, and instead of going back to the Jedi Temple or whatever, they just stayed where they're at because they were spread across the galaxy. And she just stays there, and she's like, you know what? I'm just going to open up a little place,
like a Shag-style tiki bar.
Yeah. And just
just change your robes at that point. And you're good to go.
She can serve Jedi mind tricks as drinks. You know.
There you go.
I have my Kyber crystal from you. No, I have my fuzzy Tauntaun Kyber, but I can't reach it.
Oh,
I got stuff in the way.
Use the Force.
I got one right here. Well, I've got this one right here.
He's got it ready to go. Yeah, I've seen those. You know, I haven't gone down I say that we probably have 10 lightsabers, but like I have a person, my kids that buy them, the legacy ones mainly, but like I know that if I like gave in to it, it would be that whole wall, and then we'd be done here. Like this was pretty much lockdown behind me. Like this is what happened. And I look at it and kind of makes me nauseous. Like I'm kind of like, oh god. Like
you have a ceiling.
I know. There's still a little bit of
blank space.
Give in to the lightsabers.
Yeah, I'm glad you can't. I'm glad that I'm not using the wide lens. I did that originally. I was like, oh no. That looks real bad. That looks like
I would do that, but there's just destruction in my studio.
Same.
Nice.
Well,
Who
cool.
wants to
Well,
go
there-
next? Logan,
there's
do you
mine,
want to
so-
go next?
Do I get to go next? All right.
You want to? You know, we
I
can
would
save
love
you to last.
I would love to, because what if y'all have my idea?
He's got a
the-
3-part story. It's going to take an hour and a half.
I
Get
mean,
back. Ready?
I wrote
3
mine
hour
down. Like I
tour.
didn't
Yeah.
like just it's not off the
Mine's
top of my
down.
head.
I
Now,
say go ham.
Now, there's not, I will say I broke some Star Wars rules. There's certainly the timeline is not, it's like Star Tours where like you get it can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because I feel like that's what we're missing a little bit in like Galaxy's Edge. It's like, I like they're starting to break the rules a little bit and be like, oh, throw in a Mandalorian over here. We'll throw because I'm like, you know what, guys, we're not stupid. I can walk through and not be like, what happened here? Why is there, I got it, man. I mean, it's impressive that I love the world they built, and I've probably personally sold more copies of that Black Spire book than the author.
That's why I bought it. That's
I know,
why it's my favorite.
I know, like I think we should get royalties, but I sold like 3 copies
should.
last week when we were there. But I do think that it's okay to break the rules a little. So I'm gonna break the rules, and so bear with me. We're gonna take you to, and on the surface you're gonna be like, this is like the most easy thing. Just wait. Just wait. All right. So, this is Master Yoda's Enchanted Tree Cave. Bear with me here. Bear with me. Seems normal. Like we're going to go. Okay, you understand where we're going? No, wait. So the queue, we're in line for the queue here. If you ever been to the Tiki Room, you wait in line, kind of jungle-y, so think Dagobah-ish. And then a thing opens up and there's 2 birds that talk to you. Not in this version. In this version, there's R2-D2. And he's giving you the whole pre-speech. And that whole pre-speech, by the way, is never translated for you. You don't know what you're getting into. You occasionally have Luke just popping in and being like, okay, yeah, we got it, R2. And then eventually he's like, what are you guys doing? You heard R2, go get in the cave. So then you head into the Tiki Room. Imagine how it's set up right now, but it's a little darker, a little scarier. It's a little more dark-sidey. We hear like the bubbling of Dagobah. You hear, I don't even know where we are really in the start. Like, I don't know physically where we are, but just imagine, we're somewhere tropical-ish. And then in the middle, in the Tiki Room, there's the big middle piece that everything kind of happens in. Boom, hologram drops. Master Yoda shows up. Hologram in the middle of the room. He welcomes everyone, tries to wake up the sleeping Lothcats that are above him.
Ooh.
He cannot. So if you've been in the Tiki Room, they have to go and they got to wake up Jose. They got the big stick and they go, wake up Jose. So he does that. He gets that stick out like he does with R2 when he slams on him and, in Empire Strikes Back. And he does that, wakes up the sleeping Lothcats, but then he glitches out. It glitches out, like what's happening? And it's out of nowhere. We hear a looming voice, a dark voice. Is it Vader? Is it Palpatine? Is it Snoke? No. It's our favorite purple English-speaking space slug. We got Zero the Hutt. That's right. We are under new management. This is the swerve here, guys. This is Zero the Hutt's under new management. He wakes up the Lothcats, and it's Zero the Hutt's Sassy Creature Room. And we just have fun from there. Sassy Creature Room. We've got individual performances. They have them where they come down. So we got individual performances from some Kowakian monkey lizards that come in from the ceiling. They sing "Let's All Laugh Like Salacious Laughs." It's great. It's a beautiful moment. Then the walls light up. And they reveal that around you usually like the totems that sing, no, these are people and creatures that have all been frozen in carbonite. And at this moment, they begin to melt with projection mapping. They begin to melt. Their faces appear. And they all sing, I got to remember what it is. They sing a parody of Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys. Because when Under New Management happened, there was a lot of like modern songs in it, like, so I feel like that's about the right time, like 99. If we were talking about Clone Wars a little bit later, like this is when that would be coming in. And then that all happens. They do this whole parody, kind of like the singing bus. Zero gets mad, oh babies, and he says, oh babies, you gotta freeze them back up, babies. And they freeze back up. He gets mad at everyone laughing. We're gonna wrap up here pretty soon.
This is great.
Great.
This is really good.
Laughing. At that time, in the middle, in the under new management version, the Ahoa creature, which is now in Trader Sam's, shows up and bursts through. When that happens, the Sarlacc, the Sarlacc tentacles show up, and we hear like some rustling and a belch. Out pops Boba Fett. He goes shoot, which I don't know why Boba Fett's here timeline wise, but just bear with me. Boba Fett shoots up, goes all the way up, all the way through, breaks a hole in the ceiling. You hear it. it starts to feel like everything's caving in. Zero's freaking out. Like, what are we going to do here? And then that hologram of Yoda shows back up, and he's like, wait a second. And he does the full, I guess it's Attack of the Clones. Like, he holds the pillars, stops everything from caving in. Zero escapes, and as Yoda chases after him, Attack of the Clones style. And then we have a grand finale. We hear the voices of Obi-Wan and Ahsoka Tano. They talk about how they can't send people home like this. They then bring on Anakin to lead everyone in a rousing rendition of Hot, Hot, Hot. And as Anakin's voice slowly turns into Vader, as he essentially is burning Mustafar. And as visitors exit, they hear the Imperial March. And that is Zero Sassy Creature Room. Thank you. I hope that even people listening to this know of Zero the Hutt. But if I'm going to pick a Clone Wars character, which I knew I was going to coming in here, I had to go with Zero, baby.
He's the Dusty Rhodes of the Star Wars universe.
Oh yeah, that's true. My Zero the Hutt, my Dusty Rhodes are very similar. And I don't know. I probably skipped some stuff in there, but I think I said a lot.
No, it was good.
It was very ADHD in some ways. It was incredible.
Man,
I got 80 of those.
It should be sponsored. It's like this is like the Enchanted Tiki Room sponsored by Robot Chicken is basically what it was.
Well, I actually am one of those people. I loved Under New Management, which was obviously the version where it started normal, like I tried to do here, and it was taken over by Zazu and Iago.
And
Iago and Zazu. Yeah. And they took over, and they had Hot, Hot, Hot. And actually, I just thought it was a fun show. I love the original. I'm glad they went back to it. But I have a little bit of like a affinity for it. So that's mine. It's my tribute to not only the Tiki Room, but again, the swerve of Under New Management. So
that was incredible.
Oh, what about the hut outside?
Aloha?
Yeah,
I got to do it. Did you? Oh, I did Aloha. That's right.
You had the amazing.
I went real generic here, but weirdly, we have a similar drink. It's not as because I have in this that the Dole Whip is now an Ahsoka Monstrol swirl. So
there we go.
I thought you could do blueberry and like vanilla, and then it looks like her monstrals.
That works.
Come on, if I'm doing this podcast, I mean, you guys should know this is ridiculous. And then I said the whole thing could be just like themed to Octu. You could have the I had to look up what these were called. Whatever the green milk creatures are, you could have something like that there. Like those are called the Thalasirens, milk ice cream. And then you still have the I Lava You because it's
yeah,
Anakin
with just a little Anakin on top of it.
I had crushed candied limbs, but I was like, that's too much.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Maybe one of those chocolates that they always paint the picture on is just Anakin burning in the lava.
Yeah. I hate you. It says
that. Well, that was great. I'm gonna go next because if people are watching on YouTube, I made some funny faces during this. Because
you do the same thing. You have zero.
You zero?
No,
zero?
it's not zero.
Okay,
but I definitely have some things. But before I get to that, I'll preface this with, as Ryan said, I like to make a mockery of the shows.
Oh,
but I am a massive Tiki fan. I have all of the Star Wars Geeky Tikis. Like my dream is to eventually turn my studio. It's Star Wars themed, but I want Star Wars Tiki themed.
All right.
I love Tiki bars. Like my must do every Disney trip is Trader Sam's. I have to do it. I love it. It's my thing. And I love the Tiki Room. And like Logan, I loved Under New Management. So that's why this is the Tiki Room Under New Management with R2D2 and C3PO. Yeah. So luckily you just had C3PO when you said that. Or R2D2. I was like,
yeah, I said R2 just setting us up.
It's like, there it is. Yep, it's over. So you walk in and it's exactly the same. It's the Tiki Room. It's the same birds because what I love about Tiki culture and having Tiki bars is that they're just overly tacky. Everything is so tacky. So what do? We leave the birds in there. And they're singing the same songs. But then we get our favorite Star Wars guest to come in, and they're wearing Hawaiian shirts, and they're singing the songs. And it's very awkward because obviously Yoda's going to be funny, but you're going to have like Obi-Wan and you're going to have Ahsoka that are like singing these really goofy songs, but very awkward and very tacky like. But the whole goal in what I think a lot of people miss about Star Wars and Jar Jar and all of that of like hating Jar Jar is that fun aspect of characters like that and porgs, and of course having some porgs in there is what brings younger generations into Star Wars. And that's why I love the Tiki Room, because you can be 4 years old. You don't have to understand it. You just know that it's fun. Yeah. And that's what I want it to be. I just want the cheapest, tackiest Disney Star Wars overlay in the Tiki Room. And then you walk out and your new drink is just a Dole Whip, because it's a Dole Whip. It's already perfect. And they just put a lightsaber in it for a straw. That's it.
Very good. I like that. As George Lucas says, dare to be cute. I like that. It's crazy you mentioned that, because I can't believe I don't have this on me. My mom got me for Christmas. It's this wood tiki carving. I didn't think about it till right now. Maybe that's why this was on my mind. Of C-3PO and R2-D2 in Hawaiian shirts with little drinks, and we're putting it up. But I totally forgot. It weighs like a ton. But I think that you're right in the sense of I've never been a hater on the cuteness of Star Wars, or that you could have these things. We've obviously seen great success now with it, with Grogu and everything. So no, I dig it. I think that's fun. I also like that you just straight up overlaid, like it's not too, like they don't have to do much work.
No, and that's where, like, if anybody,
grab a couple droids, good to go.
Right, and if anybody frequents tiki bars like I do, like now that I'm in Des Moines, there's an amazing tiki bar here. And Nashville has a couple great tiki bars.
Des Moines, like where we all think of when we think of tiki culture, is exactly. Des Moines.
That's the thing, is like you go into a tiki bar and they're just so delightfully tacky, and that's the fun of it. And so, like, I want to walk into the Tiki Room and feel that same way. Look at Trader Sam's. You go in there and they're doing goofy stuff and they're spraying you with water, and I want the same thing.
Well, have you been to Frankie's in Vegas? Have you been to that tiki bar? It's a must do next time you're there. Go to Frankie's in Vegas. It's huge. It's not huge, but it's huge for a tiki bar. But it is the most smoke filled, like just kind of it's dark. It's open, I think, 24. It's just the best. And that would be off the strip. You got to go. I'm giving some love to Frankie's there.
The Disney executives right now would love your version, Derek, because they're like, oh, just throw some characters in there.
That's exactly. They're cheap. Why not?
Yes, it's so cheap. I mean,
I'm going to get hired as an Imagineer before Ryan does.
Yeah.
Well, probably. Yeah. You want to do what? Change it to a different planet?
There's Frankie's. I'll show you that bum. Look how cool that is. It's just it's just awesomely classic.
Ooh.
Yeah, you got to go. You got to go.
It's funny.
This is like in the middle of the day. It's actually called Frankie's Tiki Room. There I am in front of it.
Oh, there you go.
So,
my original idea
was at 1:35 in the afternoon, so it was a rough.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys my original idea afterwards. Just throw it in there as a little bonus.
Tell it now, and hopefully it's
no. I don't want it to be catered.
That would be awesome.
No, because if I tell it it's catered, then he'll be sad. So I'll wait till after.
I had to get mine out for it.
Anyone took
Zero the Hut.
Show us or tell us a tale.
Yes. Well, it's I liked yours a lot, Ryan.
So stop.
And
really want that Felucian whip.
The name of mine is the Exotic Fungi Room.
Okay, so nice.
The song,
guys.
Well, the song, here's the song. In the Felucian Exotic Fungi Room.
You took my Felucia.
So mine is set in Felucia as well. So it's kind of funny we're on this side. Right?
You did not know, both of you said it in a very, like, I'd say very minor planet in the Star Wars universe here.
Yeah.
That's real weird, guys.
But it's a really cool planet.
It would be like you guys saying Zero the Hut and maybe like, what happened?
It would almost be like doing Under New Management twice.
But that's true.
The thing about Felucia, again, as Brian said, you've got the plants, you've got these tall mushroom things that have spores and all those things that are going around. You got the sarlacc, you got all these just colorful things, and that's what I think of. My original thought was like, what if we had porgs and had them up in the things? I was like, that's what somebody else is going to do that, but nobody did it really.
I think we all thought it, and then we're
right.
Like,
somebody else will do it.
Mentioned it. Yeah.
So I'm changing things up a little bit, and like you, Ryan, I took some liberties with it, like everybody else did. Mine, you're going upstairs. You're going to be upstairs, okay, instead of down below. Because in the middle we have the large sarlacc pit that's on the planet. It's called the Ancient something or other. I have it somewhere on here, but it's
the
Ancient Abyss.
Sarlacc.
Sorry, the Ancient Abyss. It's the sacred sarlacc pit on the planet Felucia, the largest known sarlacc specimen in the galaxy. So it's at the bottom. It's in the middle, right? But your hosts are separatist droids, because the separatist droids have taken over Felucia, and they're telling the story of the planet. They're singing songs about the planet, about the different things that are there, like the that you mentioned, the Rancors, and you didn't mention the Jelligrubs or Gelligrubs, whatever you call them. The big
there wasn't enough
things.
room. Yeah.
So they're kind of on the sides, and they're part of the singing. And you've got there's also the T-Mus, I guess is how you pronounce the others, but which is kind of like their something you can ride, another thing you can ride. But the separatist droids are there telling the story. They're telling their one-liners, like the different things that you hear from them, like Roger, Roger, and not like us, we're independent thinkers, and Roger, 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 hold your positions and all that stuff, and all the different things you hear. They're singing songs. I did have a song that I tried to write, but I didn't finish it. But it's in the Felucian exotic fungi room, in the Felucian exotic fungi. All the droids sing words, and the mushrooms croon in the Felucian exotic. It's hard to say. Welcome to our jungle hideaway. You're lucky people. Anyways. So the animals are all singing around. You've got the sarlacc pit at the bottom. I don't know if it does something, maybe
kills you.
Animals falling. I don't know, but
it
kills everybody. But that's why everybody's up.
Out.
That's how you
doesn't kill you.
Up high.
You can just blast out of
it.
At
you
some
exit.
Point.
That's right.
Blast through the side.
You can just get out of it. But that's why everybody's up high, is to see down into the pit and see all the creatures and the flora, as they say, or the flowers and mushrooms that are there. And there's songs about the battles with the Republic, and also about the Nicelin. So the Nicelin, I don't know. That's the healing herb that's there, that they're well known for. That's what people are going there for, to get a lot of times. And there's actually a drink on the Halcyon, so kind of a segue to our the Halcyon conversation. But the name of the drink that they have there, I have it somewhere on my notes,
is the Felucian Whip.
It's not the Felucian Whip.
Oh my God.
It's the Nicelin and Bubbles, which is gin and tonic, but it's got gin, cucumber, lime, and thyme. Not thyme. But
I think I remember that.
Damn.
It's
So that drink probably can't be there at Magic Kingdom.
Oh, sure.
They're changing it so fast. Like, I would not be surprised.
But my Aloha Isle is called Felucian Flavors, and there's a fruit on Felucia that's called the Jogan. Actually, the fruit is found on many different Star Wars planets. It's called the Jogan fruit, but this is called the Felucian Jogan Delight, which is still just a Dole Whip, but it's made it's a purple color, because the Jogan fruit is a purple fruit with white stripes on it. But there's also a dish that they make throughout Star Wars called the Jogan fruit cake. So maybe you have fruit cake as a dessert there as well. So that's my story. But all the songs are being sung by
my story.
The separatists.
There were no Ewoks.
Well, as you say, that was my first thing. It was going to be the Enchanted Yub Nub Room, hosted by C-3PO.
I thought for sure that you were going to do that, so I kind of abandoned.
Yeah, that was my original idea, because the drummers would just be Ewoks with Stormtrooper hats or helmet hats.
I'm going to show my cards here a little bit. So I was even trying to Google during this. When does Felucia show up I know you said Battlefront.
The
it
third
Clone Wars.
You think Clone
No.
Wars? I can't.
Yeah,
I
Clone
have a hard
Wars.
time picturing it. I don't know why.
It's big.
Wasn't
I
it-
mean, you
Was
see
it
the
in
big one in the
first
third.
episode of Clone Wars cartoon?
Oh, like the movie? Is that where they are? Like the movie cartoon? I got it, man. It's been a long
When you
time.
see it in the
There is-
movies is episode 3.
You see it in episode 3? Okay.
Yeah, because that's where Order 66, when they're going to different planets, that's where
Oh,
the
so just
blue,
like a
the
moment.
Jedi,
We had to
they're
Google
like
that, too.
Got it.
going through there, and she gets
There's a
killed
specific
there.
Jedi that dies there, and
See,
I
that's-
watched. Yeah, I think I probably end up watching that one the least because like it's just like the one like I don't really put on with the kids like around all the time because it's like yeah this one's pretty heavy. So I mean it's one of my favorites, but I probably watched it the least of all of the Star Wars movies. Unfortunately, well no, I probably watched Attack of the Clones the least. But
She's the one that dies there.
yeah, I knew the character. I just wasn't
Okay.
that familiar with the planet. And then when I looked up Felucians, it's not at all what I thought these people were. They're like, they look like kind of like that clone person in Geonosis or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, they did
That
have
thing.
some battles there
Yep.
in the Clone Wars
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I need to do a full. I don't think I've watched all of Clone Wars since it originally aired. I mean, I was a fan, but I haven't gone back.
my original version had a Felucian farmer talking about this the herb. I can't think of what is now. But anyways, and then Anakin and Ahsoka because they go there at some point. I think in Clone Wars as well.
Yeah.
So, but
Man, after that
decided
Clone
the droids
Wars-
would be better.
Moment in Ahsoka, like I'm just, I wish they would just give us that because that was just my favorite thing. They've done.
I think they just need to leave it, just like Boba Fett should have just been left.
Like don't do it. Don't like
Yeah,
it's like
just-
it was perfect. Don't
Yes,
touch it.
It was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was perfect. I loved it. I thought it. I mean that's the one part. I mean I really liked Ahsoka more than probably a lot of people, but I went back and I watched that
I also
episode.
loved it.
Yeah, I mean I love the Hayden episodes. I couldn't get enough of. I thought they were just they were amazing. So
Yeah.
the first one, I love the last. I love the series. I thought it was great. I'm
Yeah.
kind of like the least hater though of Star Wars. Like there's very few things I dislike like aggressively. Like there's things I like more than others, but
Yeah.
there are things that I don't like. Like I can't even think of the things that I don't really at least find some enjoyment in. It's I've liked all eras.
So even the new sequels.
You know, I think that the Force Awakens I loved,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then
Fantastic. Yeah.
and then I do think it fell apart. But I think in the moment I didn't care. I think
Sure.
in like watching The Last Jedi, I do remember leaving being like, oh, this didn't feel right. But then there were moments in that
Don't
that
get
I
me
loved.
started.
And I think that's my problem. Is like I
Yeah.
think it's visually one of the prettiest Star Wars movies. I think I loved the Snoke throne room scene. I loved R2 playing the original Leia speech. I just think it didn't all come together, and I think that some of that abandoned me. The stuff that everyone complains about.
Yeah.
It just sort of it swerved for no reason. And when you have a Luke Skywalker, who was one of my favorite characters of all time, and it just felt very disconnected. And then I think the Rise of Skywalker, I didn't hate it like everyone else did too. I didn't hate it. I just felt it was fine. I haven't gone back and watched them. I love, and we'll go to Star Cruiser. Like I actually enjoy that it's that era. I like those characters. Though would I have preferred personally it to be, OT stuff? Sure. But my kids love those sequel characters. And to me, having a Rey movie next is actually very exciting because I think that character actually has a lot of legs, can go places that we haven't seen. And I think she deserves it. I think those characters deserve their really. I think those big three should have had those next three movies. There should have been the real passing of the baton, and then we had those movies with the three of them as the leads, and I would have been fine with it. I think the big missing piece that everyone talks about is just the truth, and you're never going to be able to not say it, is the fact that you had them all together and you never put them together. The fact you had Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, and you didn't even put them in a scene together. Like that's the unforgivable sin. Like it's really hard for me to like really enjoy that and go, how did you not do it? So much so, like when Ghostbusters Afterlife came out and they figured out a way to do it, I was like, okay, someone's listening and learning from this mistake, because they were able to even do it, and one had passed away and they did it beautifully to where every fan walked away being like, perfect. So much so that, like you with the Ahsoka thing, I'm very nervous about another Ghostbusters movie. I'm very excited. It's my favorite. Ghostbusters is my favorite. So I'm like, but it ended on Afterlife to me was like, this is perfect. I loved it. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm nervous to be like, where are we going to go? I'm still obviously going to see it day one. I'm going to be
Oh,
there
yeah.
opening night. I'm excited to see anything involving that universe. But I thought they nailed it. So that to me is the caveat. And then they won me back over with most of the TV series. I've enjoyed everything but that Resistance cartoon. I think I really, I mean, I don't even know anyone who finished it. I don't know. Sorry, I'm so shaken. I moved this.
I think I watched one episode with my son.
Yeah.
The Resistance show. And he was like, I said, do you want to watch more? He's like, no.
No, my son, I remember because it came out around my kid was pretty young. My son was pretty young, and I remember him just being like, this is very boring. And I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like people you don't know hanging out in a starport. I don't even remember what it was about. I know it was during that era. But yeah, I find still enjoyment in those movies. If they're on, I will watch them without a problem. I love Kylo Ren. I think that's a terrific character.
Sure.
Agreed.
Whether I liked the way they wrapped it all up or anything, I don't know if I maybe they couldn't. Maybe there's just not a way to wrap all that up. Maybe
they absolutely could.
Yeah.
Well, to me, going on the Star Cruiser,
don't ask my wife about that either because she is still furious.
My wife saw it later, and she was very disappointed. As someone who I think she loved those characters.
To me, when I went on the Star Cruiser, that sort of became my sequel to Force Awakens, and the other two movies, I'm like,
they just don't exist.
It also don't exist because I thought the story, I was like, well, this is the next story that happens after Force Awakens, and I'm part of it, and it's so cool. And now when I watch stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was there at that part. I helped Chewie get through that hallway and stuff. And if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be.
You felt some responsibility.
Someday.
There you go.
Yeah,
maybe you can go back there again.
No, we can't.
Oh. Yeah, who else can? Katrin and I, because we never went in the first place. So
I know.
Some of us said, I don't care what it costs. I'm doing this. And then they said, how about for like 80% off? And I said, I'm doing it again.
Some of us had plans to go for their birthday this year in March.
Well, I hate it for you because we can talk as little or as much you want. I really think, and I'm wearing. Look, my kids got these for Christmas. These are it's a pretty deep cut. If you're watching on YouTube,
Gaia.
I'm wearing Gaia or Wraiths. Like I forget what they call this, but my kids. Here's the deal, and what I've said it a lot on WDW today, and I've talked about it. I think it was the best thing from a themed perspective that Disney's ever done. I thought it was just an incredible experience. I think there are a few big barriers that cause people not to go or cause there to be issues. And I've thought about it over time. And as you said, Ryan, I've lived with this now for like a year and a half. And I notice how often it comes up in conversations. My kids talk about it all the time. Like they talk about the Star Cruiser more than they talk about Star Wars. And we were able to take the second time my niece and nephew went with us in the same thing. They all got Halcyon sweatshirts, by the way, which are all on sale at they have a weirdly large amount of new merchandise of Star Cruiser merchandise. I got a haul of it back at I forget what the store is called. It's the corner in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah,
that has all the Star Wars stuff. They have a huge wall of Star Cruiser stuff and like 1 million of the droids. And I could just tell that no one's buying this stuff. So I'm the only one in there being like, give me everything. It was a really amazing experience. I can't speak. The cast is phenomenal. The people they had playing those roles, and we saw some of them in we went to the Indiana Jones stunt show, and the guy who was our Wraith for the second time, he was in that show, and my son was like, there's Wraith. And that was interesting. Like, oh, he still remembers faces, connects who these people are. I knew he's 11. He's not like he's a baby, but there is a bit of sadness in that being like, yes, the Indiana Jones stunt show was great, but this was 2 full days of improv theater. Put not just improv, but the improv portions of it where you literally were sitting at a bar with these fictional characters. I do think one of the realizations I've had, because like you, Ryan, I'm in a bunch of the Facebook groups. I see people talking about it all the time, people planning that convention. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to keep the legacy sort of going. I do think that for some people, and maybe including myself to some extent, my kids, because I see them talking about it so much, that it was a lot to handle. It was a lot to experience. So much so, not that I say that it broke people, but it kind of did. It kind of did. It because it weirdly gave
it
you
broke Ryan.
Yeah, it like gave you a purpose, a mission. You were part of that story. You made friends. Like it became a little bit. I'm curious if society is ready for fiction to take over. Like maybe if it was one day, but the fact that it was 2 nights, you fell asleep, woke up, and kept interacting with these fictional characters of which you've interacted with. Like I see the way people talk about it, and I see them say like I went up to Chewbacca. And, I had like an emotional breakdown. And part of me is like, wow, that's incredibly powerful. And I'm wearing my halcyon shirt and seeing that, and I go, I wonder if like we're not ready for like humankind may not be ready for multiple day immersive theater. And maybe that was one of the barriers, is people looking at it going, I can't deal with this. And then seeing how it affected me, I go, man, maybe I couldn't. Maybe people aren't ready for it. Like it was so incredible that it did blur that line so incredibly from reality and fiction that you almost couldn't like wrap your head around that these people were all going to go home to their condos in Orlando at night and they weren't these characters, like that they weren't part of your story, like that it wasn't real. And I can't say enough good about it though. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a phenomenal experience. I am bummed tremendously that it's closed. It broke my heart to like see it there, knowing it's just kind of rotting.
Yeah.
What I hope is that something comes of it. I'm not holding my breath.
Just look at Wonders of Life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like people they're not going to do it. It's like, well, they've done it before.
Yeah,
mothballed
multiple times.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not worth it. And maybe it was just too expensive. It was just too expensive, not just to go, obviously, but the way it had to run. I mean, because there are clearly hundreds of people having to create this thing every day. And
because I've seen several breakdowns of like what it cost them to do it. And like, yes, Disney makes money. Obviously, we know that. And they've got to make margins. But the cost per capita for them to do it versus other things was so much higher. Insanely amount higher.
I'd like to see that because I can imagine it. Even the caliber, and I will specifically say, not that it didn't change because I think the second time was just as good. But I remember the first cast, like they made a big deal about like these aren't, I don't want to say theme park actors. They're like, these are union actors that you've seen in TV and movies, and they are, they all had pretty strong cred. Especially the main characters you dealt with. So it was a different level of production that you didn't have even in like your favorite Beauty and the Beast show.
It's so good.
All the actors that I got to hang out with a bunch of the cast after the last Starkers day. And you could see in their hearts how much they already missed it, and it was more than. And they told you, they're like, this is more than just another job. I've acted in all kinds of stuff, but this was like even my captain, the person who played my captain. I'm friends with her on Facebook, and she's like, I just got through wrapping up doing Whoville, and she's like, but I still miss going every day to this other galaxy. And so it's the cast were just so into it, which made the people that went, even if you didn't realize what you were getting into, dive into it.
And the wild side of just seeing cast members interacting between each other. Yeah. As you would walk, like there'd be no one in a room. Yeah. And you would walk in a room and they're already mid conversation. You're like, I mean, I'm sure that they had earpieces somehow were able to tell like people are coming in, whatever. Yeah. But like and be mid conversation, wrap you into something, and there'd be no one else experience. Like that's maybe the thing that was so amazing to me that doesn't exist anywhere else, is that there were so many individualized moments that like just would happen to you and your family or to your kids. And they were and I believe this. Disney was monitoring those Facebook groups. And this is my theory. Oh yeah. Because my kids really wanted the second time around. They're like, first time they were like the scoundrels with Wraith, and they wanted to be like the Force users. And it was just not happening. Like we were just going down back on the scoundrel path with Wraith and that whole adventure. And you could tell, I could tell they were disappointed. Like, they're like, why are we not, like, we've asked people, like, we're still getting diverted back to this path. So I like posted in one of the groups. I was like, hey, like on the night of, like, my kids are wanting to like do this, and they're pretty disappointed that we haven't been able to like kind of crack the code so they could have another experience different than they had last time. And I get a phone call while we're in Batu being like, hey, this is whatever from the Star Cruiser. Can you be back at 3:00 for a special force training for you and your family? And it's like, there's no way. Like, they were monitoring that this person paid a lot of money, brought 10 people with them probably, you know what I mean? And we need to like make this right. And like, that was cool. That was a cool customer service moment. That I was like, oh, that's interesting. It also makes you wonder, you know, makes you say, be careful what you post on your Facebook groups, guys. Because
I remember you posting that, and I remember myself and a bunch of other people were saying, do this, do that, do that. You gotta go here. Like, people were into it. Like, we gotta get you on that path and stuff.
But instead, I just got a call, and they're like, we're gonna make it happen. And then we had this amazing experience. And then another Star Cruiser fan saw we were having that experience, pulled out her camera, recorded all of it, and then airdropped it to us. And now we follow her on social, and she was someone who did it like 10 times. They did build this cool community. And I know like it's been ad nauseum, and 2 of you didn't do it, so I feel bad that we keep going at it. Let's just go back to sequels. Let's go back to
I don't even know what airdrop is. I'm an Android guy.
Oh, you Android. What's really cool, you said the community. There's a bunch of us in Houston that went on it, and we met in Florida, and we're like, oh, we live in the same city. So now we get together, and I took them to this immersive experience here. I'm like, you guys got to go to this. Department of Wonder is what it's called. Very immersive experience.
Cool.
We go. I'd already been like once, so we got to go. And then when we go, the day after we go, they make an announcement. December 30th will be our last day. We're closing it down. So I think executives, people that are in charge of these things, and maybe the world, like you said, are not ready for these immersive experiences, because it was an amazing experience, and it was a local thing here in Sugarland, which is, you know, right outside of Houston, and the cast there was phenomenal. They maybe I can reach it. So I went like 3 times. The cast came to me at the 3rd time and said,
"We want to give you $15,000 every time."
Well, no, it was like, it was cheap. And they were doing like, they were like buy one get one free towards the end, because they wanted
like the Star Cruiser.
Yeah. And they said, we want to give you something. And this was the cast, and they came to me at the end, and they gave me one of their lanterns, and this is what you used in the event. Like, you didn't use phones there. You use these lanterns, and you take them, and you put them. It was like sort of like a more fantasy type world with fairies and stuff. So they handed me one of their lanterns. I'm like, this is amazing. And they're like, just, you know, thank you for helping us make this, you know, sort of a venture, a reality for just a little bit. And these actors are getting into these immersive things, but the people that finance them, I don't think understand them.
Yeah. I think it's probably pretty tough. And again, I have sort of mixed feelings, but all my feelings are incredibly positive from the event, but seeing sort of the fallout from it is what I've been sort of like again, like you said, like it kind of broke all of us in a weird way.
Yeah.
Well, I think from the outside looking in too, there's a lot of criticism for Disney doing this and whatever. I'm like, you know what? I think everybody hates Disney. Like right now, it's the popular thing to do, but it's those risks that they take that people love. Let them shoot for the sky and miss, rather than just keep making hotels that look like
the same
garbage.
Yeah, it's like
Hilton's.
So when people criticize what they did, like, because it's so expensive, why would they think this? Well, maybe they thought if we build it, they will come, and then they'll see the value. And unfortunately, they couldn't make it last. Okay.
There was part of me that also wondered if they didn't do the thing all inclusive. Because look, if you go eat at like Chef Mickey's, my family of 5, it's going to be like $300-$400. Like, it's just the truth. Like, it's like 50 something bucks plus tax and tip. It's like $400. So if you had said, hey, meals aren't included, and all of a sudden you knocking off $3,000 off of the initial sticker shock, I do kind of wonder if that would help. I also think, as much as like we talked about the sequel trilogy, they doubled down on that sequel trilogy. And I think there's a large group of people that probably were like, man, I think The Mandalorian kind of sucked the energy out of that sequel trilogy room. If you had done that, if you had done Mandalorian, or if you had done the original trilogy, or any of those, I think you probably would have had a much different experience.
Or just a generic Star Wars story, right?
Yeah.
They wanted it to. They were still on the Batu thing, keeping it
connected, and that's fine. Like, look, I'm saying, like, even Batu. I think Batu was a little short-sighted in the sense of going,
oh yeah,
everyone's gonna love this sequel trilogy. Like, how could it go wrong? Like, they were so far along when they build it that now you're seeing them have to, like, in one of the things that drove me the most crazy was when the Mandalorian and Grogu started making appearances, and I didn't know where it was. And I asked someone in the marketplace where it was, and they were like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Just tell me where." My kids,
little green guy, metal guy.
And they're like, "Yeah." They're like, "You mean that shiny guy we've seen occasionally and his green buddy?" It's like, guys, just for a second, just let me be a dad here who wants to know where to bring his kids to meet fictional characters, that I'm aware that this isn't real. There are moments where I have those breaking points with Disney where it's like, this has gone too far, tell me where to go. And then they're like, okay, eventually it was like, there's like an awning over there, go stand over there. Every 20 minutes or so they're going to show up, but it's not meet and greets. You just got to walk over there and hopefully they'll come to you. It's like, this is like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, we've definitely talked about that kind of thing. And then I've, other podcasts and stuff where I bring that up too. Like, no one cares anymore that it has to be in this timeline. I don't care if I see Darth Vader and Kylo Ren standing next to each other. I'm going to go and I'm going to love it. And I'm going to freak out, and it's going to be amazing. No one cares anymore.
Yeah, because if you're a full adult human, and even a kid understands that, and that's where I feel like you're not giving you enough credit to just be like, guys, we're just trying to have some fun here. I love Batu. I think the storyline is awesome. I think it's really well done. I love characters like Hondo and Naka, but like, how many times you been in that room where people are like, who is that? Almost every time, like, who is this Winnie the Pooh talking guy? Winnie the Pooh with a Jamaican accent that's yelling about,
Bob Marley the Pooh.
Yeah,
well, we talked about
like Jim Cummings doing. I love it. You're like, what is this? And then most of the people are like, it was in this movie, and you hear him talking. You're like, I want to be the guy who turns around and be like, you're wrong, but I don't. And
good.
But I loved it. Like, I love it because I'm at this level where I can talk for 2 hours on Star Wars and not blink and listen to Star Wars podcasts. And I care so much. And I was with it during the dark times when no one liked Star Wars. So not no one, but it is that there was that sort of post prequel period.
It was us weirdos, yes.
Where I was going to Celebration and no one was. I mean, people were. It was packed, but it was a very different time.
Yeah, sure.
It was when they were trying to release the 3D Star Wars and and detours and all of that. And that was sort of like I love that era of Celebration. And I haven't gone back in the last few, because it does feel like there was the whole sequel trilogy boom, and it just kind of wasn't what I like from a convention standpoint. Like, when I went to Star Wars Celebration, it was George Lucas and Jon Stewart doing an hour on stage. And I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And then I feel like now, and it was like in a theater of 1,500, not in a Hall H 50,000 people trying to see Daisy Ridley. It's just not the same. Not that I wouldn't go back, I totally would, but it was some of the most fun I ever had. And maybe that's why I compare the two. And they did that night. This will be my last Star Wars Disney story because I know it's getting late. But they did the night. Star Tours didn't close that night, but they made an unofficial closing during Star Wars Celebration, and they did. In front of Star Tours, they did a big show. Warwick Davis was there. George Lucas was there. And Boba Fett took the thermal detonator and blew up Star Tours. And it exploded in pyro. They played the Star Wars music. And it was the official closing of Star Tours to bring on the new one. And it was just so cool. Mm-hmm. And you go, man, what happened to that? Like, that was so cool. And no one thought in that moment, well, Boba Fett, what, that just wasn't part of the conversation at the time. They had in the Indiana Jones show, which you should still go watch on YouTube, they did a Indiana Jones meets Han Solo stage show just for that one night. It's called like Raiders of the Lost Jedi or something like that.
Yeah.
And Jason Sorrell, Disney Imagineers, now Universal, who friendly with, he wrote it. And in each show we had different celebrities show up, and it was like, Seth Green and Donald Faison, those kind of people. Mark Hamill rode out on an X-wing in one of them. And the one I was there was George Lucas was there, and he sat right in front of us, like 2 rows in front of us. And it was just it was a wild time for Star Wars, because that could happen. And you could have this really silly, fun show, and no one, including the most hardcore fans, were sitting there going, this isn't, this doesn't work. They were just having fun, because all there was the Clone Wars. Like, that was the only thing happening. And as much as I love it, it's not like there was a huge hardcore base around the Clone Wars, but it wasn't anything like what would come 5 or 6 years later with the sequels, or 10 years later.
And that was before Disney owned it. So
yes, Disney bought it October 30th, 2012.
Yeah. So I've said it before on the show. I think on this show, or maybe the other show, I Am Geek, which go check out I Am Geek. I
Am Geek.
I've heard
where they should bring back a version of Star Wars weekends, but multiple weekends. Each weekend is focused on either the original, the prequels, the Clone Wars, and Batu just becomes that era for that weekend.
Yeah.
And they can make a ton more money, because it would be an after-hours event probably.
Yeah.
And
why not?
Yeah, I don't see why they won't.
I mean,
I love Star Wars weekends. I thought it was so much fun. We went every year. We would make a trip for it.
Mhm.
It's where I feel like I got connected with, not personally, because I didn't know them till much later, people like James Arnold Taylor or Ashley Eckstein, and I could see how much they got me connected to the Clone Wars, because I didn't. The Clone Wars movie, in full transparency, Clone Wars movie came out, and I'm like, oh, what's happening here? And even to the Zero the Hutt seasons, like it took a little bit, and I've talked with James about it too, about how it took a few years to get to find its footing. But to see their passion about Star Wars, kind of like the Kiss and the Avatar thing, to see how invested they were, that brought me in. And I feel like you have the opposite now in the way that current cast members, especially sequel trilogy cast members, talk about Star Wars. It's like they don't even want. And Mark Hamill was like that for a while too. He's probably, in Harrison Ford, I guess those group wasn't that way. But it's like the opposite of what you see in the Marvel universe, which I feel like everyone who's in a Marvel movie is like, it's the greatest thing I've ever done. Robert Downey Jr. is like, bring me back, and I feel like Adam Driver is probably like never again,
pretty much that.
Probably because he got horrible, because he had to deal with, crappy fans, who
poor
hate
Tom
everything.
Boyega. Like, he was a Star Wars fan.
Yeah. I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back.
I don't know.
I think he'll be back. I think he got Daisy back for Rey. I think one of them's coming back. I mean, maybe it's Poe, but I don't think so. I think maybe. I don't. He's the only one who doesn't seem like he hates it. Occasionally, I don't feel like I ever hear from him being like, that was horrible. But I don't know. I've been guys. I'm sorry.
It's great.
No, you're fine.
I feel like we kind of did you a disservice, because we didn't even talk about who you were at the beginning.
Oh,
so if anyone's still hanging on, or maybe we'll post some clips.
Sure.
So Logan has the WDW Today podcast. He is a director. What you want to say? Director, producer, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But really, I would say a lot of this podcast probably indirectly happened because of Logan. And I will say, because we got James Arnold Taylor on. I met James through Logan, because James moved to Nashville, and he didn't have his studio yet. So Logan's like, well, I know a guy in Nashville that has a studio. Might be able to help you out. And James came over to my house, and it was great, and we became friends. So then I started listening to I Am Geek show, and all of that through the same kind of friends group. So I think really you had a big part in this too.
I appreciate that. And I like that I've been able to, and I think that's part of this online and in real. I've met 2 of you in real life, and I have enjoyed our virtual conversations and our real conversations. And I think that the connections that we've all made, and sort of the like-minded conversations we can have, really does hopefully inspire more people to get more into content creation. And I've kind of had to be like that guy who hung his hat on, yeah, I'm a director, I'm a producer, whatever. And like I said, I think we're all at this point, we're just creating content. And maybe that's been a detriment somewhat, but yeah, I mean, I've done a bunch of productions. I've lived off and on in Orlando my entire adult life. I live in Nashville for the last 20 years, but I go back and forth pretty regularly. And I'm deeply connected to all of that. Like it means a lot to me. And my first job out at film school was working at Nickelodeon at the Nickelodeon Studios, Florida, which was like my dream job because that was
you were on camera.
A little bit. Yeah, I was on camera.
I've seen the clips. Yeah,
because you become friends with the writers and they go write them in. It's funny. And it was a different time where you didn't get paid, but it still was cool. And I was fine with it. I did not care. I would work there probably my whole life and figured out how to pay, to not get paid because it was just the best job in the world. But all of that means a lot to me. And I'm constantly trying to create. Like you said, we had a movie that came out 10 years ago. We shot it 10 years ago this week about the early life of Walt Disney called As Dreamers Do, which is on YouTube for free. You can watch it. And now it's on YouTube for free. And that was sort of our first foray into feature films. Then I took a 10-year gap between movies, but I didn't take a 10-year gap. Like we created television shows. We did 20 different podcasts. I got so much more coming up. But then we made another movie. Me and Bart Scott and Will Haynes wrote a movie that's available now. It's a Christmas movie, so it's a little late, but it's not all Christmas. It's like a lot of those movies have Christmas. It's like Christmas happens during it. And it's available right now on Vudu. And you can just go to Jingle Smells, which is our movie, .movie is the domain, jinglesmells.movie. And you can find the DVDs, the Vudu links, Rumble, all places. And then next year it's going to be even more places. And follow my stuff on social media too as well. I mean, I don't want to be just plugging here, but I have a lot coming up.
And Jingle Smells is great too. The cast you got for Jingle Smells is like, it's pretty impressive. I pre-ordered it. I watched it when I was in Boston.
Here's what I learned, guys, is because this is something that was tough. If you watch my first movie, if you watch, and I directed the first one and produced it. This one, I was executive producer. I was like a producer adjunct and co-wrote it. It was my idea. And I was there on set every day, but I was heavily involved in the casting. And, essentially was, I don't want to say it's my movie because other people directed it and were involved and really did a lot of the heavy lifting that I did not do. But, I'm an interesting guy in the sense of like, I love working with my friends. If you've noticed, it's the same guys that I've been around, a lot of them for my whole adult life. So when we wrote that movie, Jingle Smells, the new one, I was going to be the lead. My best friend, Will, who you've heard on all my other stuff, was going to play the kind of the secondary comedic character. And then Bart was going to play Bart Scott, who co-wrote it, who you all probably know as well. Mm-hmm. He was going to play the main kind of villain character. And like that was it. It was like, we're going to make a movie with our friends, kind of Kevin Smith style. Yeah. And then when we got around to casting it this time, the movie got put on the shelf for a couple of years. I learned that a lot of actors, man, they really want to act. And there's a lot of people from your childhood who really want to make a movie and really want to do stuff. And even if it's low budget, they're excited to do it. And for me, the cast was people who, like I said, I felt like sometimes I was playing with, full-size action figures of people because it was just like, you're from SNL, who I grew up with, and I love your Goat Boy, who's Jim Brewer, here's Toria Jackson over here, we got John Schneider over here, we got, a bunch of pro wrestlers because I can't do anything without pro wrestling. So I had Hornswoggle and James Storm, and Hornswoggle's on WDW Today quite a bit also, and he's a huge Disney fan, he's in Muppets Most Wanted, a huge Muppets fan, and he plays a great character in this movie. And I would say that there are no official nods to Disney or to Muppets or to Star Wars in the movies because I was pretty cognizant of trying to not get sued. That now I could have put Mickey Mouse in it, I guess is what I hear.
Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat.
Just Steamboat Willie.
Or Plane Crazy, Mickey. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck, everyone.
There is a movie
Disney. I saw that. But it has those. It kind of evokes some of those emotions as feelings. And then we got a lot of stuff coming up. So just look me up, and I don't really care. I mean, I love it. I want you to follow me. I'm excited. I want you to buy the movie, and I want you to watch it, enjoy it. But really, at the end of the day, just to come on here and talk to you guys, to get an hour and a half in a weeknight on a school night, if you will, to talk about Star Wars is something that 10-year-old me would have loved. And the fact that now this can exist this way, because I did not have that. I hung out at my local comic book store like a lot of us did. Shout out to my buddy Kyle at Galactic Quest, who still runs Galactic Quest, where like legit he dressed like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I would be a kid in a Jawa costume at the special editions. Like that's the level of fan I was at. Very popular, as you can tell. It was they built communities like that existed, and the comic book store community specifically there that was very family oriented. And they're still to this day, they are open for business, and I love it because they are like just great people, and they're still creating that community for people who need it. And so again, if you're in the Atlanta area, check out Galactic Quest. But even if you're not, just if you end up in the area, go check them out. But but now having this community online where you can, I think like Facebook, people are like, who's still on Facebook? I'm only on Facebook really because of Star Wars groups and, collectors community and KISS collecting and all, like
marketplace.
That's where I go to have these conversations. I've had that conversation about the KISS avatar things with people I've never met, probably never will meet. And it's just very cool to be able to come on here. My cats are going crazy. I'm sorry. Until 2 days ago, I had a Millennium Falcon pop-up cockpit in here. And I found it'd been like a few months. And I was like, something smells funky. And maybe the cat had turned it into a toilet.
Oh, no.
So it went in the trash.
Turns out the cat
Merry
was
Christmas.
Dead. It's
Merry Christmas. But I'll stop being so dramatic and philosophizing here. But I do appreciate you guys having me on. And anytime I can talk Star Wars, I'm down.
No, and I think it's been great. I've loved the conversation. And before we go, the way Logan and I met, I was a fan of WDW Today, and being a grown man that loves Disney so much, I was like, oh, this is a podcast with a bunch of guys that talk about Disney. And then one episode, they're like, yeah, in our home of Nashville. And I was like, what? Wait a second. So I get online. I was like, oh, hey, these guys. So I think I messaged Logan. We got to talking and stuff, whatever. And so we were just Facebook friends. We had never met in person. And then one night I had tickets to Slash show because I used to work with them. And I put on Facebook. One of the guys from work was supposed to go and he bailed last minute. I think I put on Facebook, anybody like Slash? And Logan was the first person to message me. Yeah. And I'm like, great, I'll meet you at the Ryman. And he's like, oh, how much are tickets? I'm like, oh, I don't pay for tickets. Just meet me at the Ryman.
I don't pay for tickets.
but he just showed up, and I think that's
secretly going, don't get killed. This
guy, he's creepy. He likes Disney. He's a super fan. Yeah. But it was so fun because
someone friends with Slash.
Yeah. But it was such an interesting thing because you don't get a lot of experiences like that, or a lot of people that would just be like, yeah, I'll go. Yeah, and I think that speaks volumes to you. So, thanks again.
Well, thank you for the tickets. I appreciate it. I still have my laminate or my sticker pass on my.
I got one over here.
Slash and Miles Kennedy. It's also that's like a subculture of a subculture. The fact that you're like, oh, you like rock, sure, okay, you like Guns N' Roses, yes. You like Slash alone, yes. You like Slash with Miles Kennedy from Alter Bridge, also yes. That's starting to narrow it down.
And we're gonna have Todd Kearns on here, who's Slash's bass player, and Todd's a huge Star Wars fan, which has been
I don't know him. I only met him that night with you, but man, talk about just a talented dude. Like I didn't know him that when we saw him that night, I knew of him just because again he kind of was in that KISS world, but I didn't know it that well. And just over the last few years, just being able to hear his music has been like, man, this dude is just legit. I saw him play in Vegas back in March with Gene Simmons and Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer. They put together like a revenge era of KISS band, and it was unbelievable. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. We're going to stop here.
Do that another episode.
It's late. Y'all keeping me up. It's okay. It's
That's
not
cool.
you.
I love it. I love
it.
I'm just sitting here.
I know.
Like all over again.
Superstar Cruiser. Now up here, I'm talking KISS. Sorry, I got nothing
poor
to say to you.
Wonderful.
Poor Katrin's so sweet.
I like your Haunted Mansion poster. That's nice. Babu Frick back there. Very nice. I can't see anyone else other than Babu. He sticks out.
Ultimate Warrior.
I can't see an Ultimate. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'm like pointing to my screen like you could see.
Like an LJN. What
Yeah,
do
it's
you
up there.
got there? I'm gonna talk
movies
with you
things.
for a minute here. Is that like a modern Elite? Or are we talking an LJN? What we got there?
It's
Big rubber guy.
I love that.
No, it's
Ryan's
like
answering for Katrin.
Well, I got it as a gift from Ryan's brother Chris.
yeah, I pointed in the direction of it. It's a cool. It came with a little.
Oh,
ring.
it's like a statue thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Oh no.
And it's broken now.
I got
It's
a
not
wall of
broken.
turnbuckles
Hold
over
on.
here. You can see. Look at that. Okay. This is what we're dealing with here. I got wall
See, and
turnbuckles.
Logan never wants to go on these cruises with me. He didn't want to go on the Kiss cruise or the Jericho cruise.
But they don't want to go.
I know. You have a family. I'm just this vagabond dink.
I don't want to go with
dual
you.
income, no kid.
I don't know. Those cruises kind of like I signed up. Honestly, I signed up for the summer of '99 one, and I didn't get through. Though Jacqueline Stapp, who's Scott Stapp's wife, she's in Jingle Smells, by the way. She's in our movie. She's great. I love them, and we've become friendly with her. And that was the first one that I was like, man, I think I got to go to this. And then they announced the tour, and I was like, okay, I could just go to the tour. Because there is the idea of being like, I love Kiss fans. I love wrestling fans. I love 90s rock fans. But I'm one of you, and I know the idea of being stuck on a boat with you for 4 days or 5 days freaks me out like a little bit. Little bit. Like
you
just
did
enough.
message me.
I've had enough of weird. I went to a Leonard Skinner meet and greet 2 days ago, and it was wild. Okay, man, it was an adventure. It was only there an hour, and I have stories that I'll be telling the rest of my life because they were just unbelievable. So the idea of being on a boat for 4 days makes me like a little bit. Like maybe that train cruise. I feel like those people should be pretty chill. Like I feel like that's
no. That was the
Trainiacs are not chill.
That was the weirdest one.
I feel like that's like it should be like.
I mean, the Kiss cruise, you went in knowing they were gonna be weird, so like it was fine. Like the train one, it was just a bunch of like 50 to 65-year-old women that thought that they were married to Pat Monahan.
Yeah, as we do.
It was uncomfortable.
There is a Star Cruiser actual cruise coming up in March, I think.
What does that mean?
Most of the people on there will be
just people that went, or now just keeping the.
Yeah, so basically, Sarah, who I know, who's a travel agent.
I mean, that's very cool. I got nothing. I don't want to. I don't want to hate on it. I feel like I'm hating on it. I love this stuff so much. The idea of being stuck on a boat makes me nervous.
Well, okay? that's my thing. Like, I'm sure the people going on it are going to dress to the nines in their Star Wars, and there's going to be people on the cruise that have no idea what's going on. And they'll be like, "Why did a Jawa just walk past me?"
Oh, so they're like just getting like a block of room. See, these cruises are like this is what.
Oh yeah, I know that. But this one, I think this is going to be just however many people that can get to go. So of course there's going to be other people on it. To me, that's just like that's going to be different.
That's interesting. But I did kind of wonder the Star Cruise how many people were like, "I got to go outside." Like how many people like left. Like
I just need a break.
Needed a break or smoke or something.
There's a few people. There was a thing that started later on with the people that had been on a bunch that they would at nighttime, like in the middle of the night, like 2-3 in the morning, they would all go down and out the front and they would search for cats because there was like tons of cats living outside there. And they'd be like, "There's a Star Cruiser cat, and we've named that one this," and because they just wanted to go out at nighttime to just hang out. Okay. And so that was a thing that started.
Yeah, see, that's my problem. That's maybe why I'm not going on this.
Maybe it actually closed because it was infested with cats and rats.
That's what it was. Yeah.
They're like, it's just most cats.
Yeah, of course.
But Disney's big. I mean, all the Disney parks have a random cat or two wandering around.
And a rat, like the one that ran under my table at the Mexican restaurant inside the Mexico Pavilion.
That was his dinner.
That was horrible.
It
was the most terrifying event of my life.
There are creatures everywhere.
I had a creature chase Jennifer down in the miniature golf course one year. We went. I don't know what kind of creature it was, but it was chasing her.
Outside, man. That's when people yell at me when you yell like, "I saw a snake." It's like you're in the Everglades.
You're in Florida.
In Florida. What do you expect, man?
Built on a swamp.
Be safe. Don't touch it. Okay, that's it. Even that, you probably could touch it. It's probably fine. I didn't say that. You didn't hear that.
Do not touch the snakes.
Don't touch
That's a disclaimer.
No.
in the water.
Logan, thanks for coming on tonight. It's been fun.
Happy to do it.
I'm like you. I could talk all night about because
I don't even remember doing the attraction now at this point.
we did.
I think we did.
The cool thing about you is that you're a huge Star Wars fan, which I am. Huge Ghostbuster fan, which I am. That's my second favorite movie over Star Wars.
I got a proton pack right there.
Oh, look, I got one right there.
Bam.
I got a
There you
vacuum
go.
sweeper.
Plasma series, baby. Look at that. Oh, you see, mine fancier than yours.
Oh yeah,
not
well
gonna-
yeah.
not
I
gonna
couldn't
lie.
talk my wife into getting the expensive one, but I talked her into getting this one.
See, get
And
your wife into something like handbags. Like, get her into something so it's like you
She
can't.
doesn't get into stuff. She
There's
just
no
likes to
more of
hike.
this conversation. It's just like I bought.
Yeah.
And also with these, like you buy them 2 years in advance and they show up, and you're like, "Merry Christmas."
I do that with these. I do that
Why
with
does
these
it feel
helmets.
like they show? Okay, it's like, why do they feel like we order them and then they show up all together? Like I pre-order stuff throughout 4 years, and then it's like, oh, in 1 week, here's 18 boxes that show up. Oh, you
Yeah.
have the Captain Cardinal one? Do you have that one? I
Yeah.
wanted that one. Dang it,
Uh,
I need to get that one.
right.
See, again, the fact they
You
made
trade for
that is really
that
weird.
proton
Like,
pack.
do you not think that's weird? Like, as much as I love it, I love that book. That book means a lot to me. That was available in Target. Like,
Yeah.
who was buying it? Like, no, I think you. You're the only
Me.
person I know who has it.
I got it on
I go,
clearance.
Yeah, and now I feel like I could probably find it for nothing because my son was Captain Cardinal for Halloween, and trust me, it was every 5 minutes being like, "Who are you?" So
I'm
all
just
right.
a red stormtrooper. Okay, fine.
So I'm just saying, what do they call them in the Rise of Skywalker? Sith? Were they Sith troopers? The red
Yeah.
stormtroopers?
Oh,
Yeah.
those.
They could run in space or something. They were like
Yeah.
all running with those not tauntauns on a star cruiser in space. What were we doing, guys? That was okay. No, I
But
don't
on
even
top
like
of
that.
on top of all that, we also both of us love wrestling, so it's just like
Oh yeah.
we could talk
I
for
love it all.
days, probably.
There's too many obsessions. It's like this wall's wrestling over here. I got Ghostbusters wrestling. I got punk rock wrestling. I got Big Lebowski, but it's also Disney because it's like the Big Lebowski as if they're Monsters Inc. characters. Then I got just cult classic movies here, the Fantastic Four that no one ever saw. Kiss
Yeah.
Meets the Phantom of the Park. And
Might be my new favorite episode. I thought James was my favorite episode. This might be my new one.
Oh,
well,
I can get all kinds
because
of stuff.
I care more than James. And we know this.
I'm telling you,
I
you said
can't have
that.
these conversations with James. When I do, they get very uncomfortable because it's like he's like, "You know so much," and I'm like, "I know too much, man." And then he's like, "I'll do Obi-Wan for you if you just stop this."
You just shut up.
See him and
look,
I just
gotta
talking
give
about
it up to those
microphones.
guys. I have to give it up, like, and this will be it. And then it is like 11 o'clock. Go to bed. I got to give it up to Matt Lanter and Ashley Eckstein and James Arnold Taylor because I went to a convention that they were at back over the summer, and they are the most kind and patient with Star Wars fans of all walks of life, and they can answer any question given to them. There were so many deep cut Star Wars things that at the end of it, I went to Matt and I was like, I have no idea how you handled that. Like how you even could come up with an answer. And the answer was wonderful about like, what do you think Anakin was thinking at this moment and this moment? And it's like, and you don't want to be that William Shatner of like, I just read the lines, man. Like instead they would have and it helps that the three of them are fans. Really, Matt is like just such a hardcore. You should have him on here. He's such a hardcore Star Wars.
Look it up. Look it up.
He's definitely closer to James than me, but I can text him and be like, you should do this. Because he can talk. He honestly can talk like this. He can have he had a Star Wars wedding, and he is a huge, so the fact that he is Anakin and look, I don't care what Hayden Christensen said. Hayden Christensen is doing Matt Lanter's Anakin in Ahsoka. Like, I mean, almost beat for beat, the way he performs it.
So I just got chastised in a Star Wars group because there's a picture of Ashley and
Hayden.
Yeah, and Hayden.
Yeah.
And then they take the picture from the cartoons, and I'm like, no,
Yeah, that's not how it works.
no, that's Matt.
Yeah, that's my Anakin. Honestly, like now Hayden's, I like what he's done, but he brought the Anakin that I always wanted to see, which was this hero. that was cool. You know, he was actually cool, and that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, good night.
Good
God
night.
bless.
Thank
You. I'm not cutting myself off, but I am, because I know my family's downstairs. Like, how is this? How would you still have this much to talk about? Zero
We
the
just want to
Hutt's
eat supper.
Sassy Creature Challenge, whatever it was called.
Well, thank you so much, Logan.
Thank
This
you.
is
You're
amazing,
welcome on
Logan.
any time. And welcome on I Am Geek. But thank you for our listeners and watchers. And we'll be back in a couple weeks with a new episode and maybe a new guest. Thanks for coming on, and check us out at I Am Geek. And if you need your Kyber crystals, go to I Am Geek Shop on Etsy. Thank you, Logan. And we'll talk to you later.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.